Call of Duty Black Ops 7 is finally here, and if you've already jumped into multiplayer, you know the chaos hits fast. Guns are snapping, streaks are flying, and the action never slows down. But here's the thing, weapons might get all the spotlight, yet the real game changers are the perks. And if you're the kind of player who likes staying one step ahead, slipping past enemies like a ghost, then the Recon Perks are absolutely your playground. Because let's be honest, moving around the map without hearing that dreaded UAV ping or getting fried by some automated score streak feels incredible. Recon Perks let you do exactly that. They keep you off the radar, out of trouble, and in full control of your rotations. So in this video, we're breaking down why Recon Perks are some of the most powerful tools in Black Ops 7, and how they can turn you into the sneakiest, slipperiest operator in the lobby. Let's get into it. I'm quickly moving on to the video. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching! Vigilance sits in an interesting spot among the Recon Perks in Call of Duty Black Ops 7. It is not terrible by any means, but it is also not the type of perk that immediately makes you say, I need this in every match. Think of it as that teammate who shows up on time, does the job, but is never the star of the squad. It works, it helps, and it absolutely has a purpose, but it rarely feels essential. The expanded minimap is genuinely useful, and the perk letting you see when you are making noise or appearing on the enemy radar can help newer players understand their visibility better. However, once you get used to the flow of the game, you will notice that these benefits do not dramatically change how you play. There are simply stronger Tier 2 Recon Perks competing for the same slot, and most players will naturally gravitate toward those options without thinking twice. Where Vigilance truly shines is in one very specific situation, when everyone on the enemy team suddenly decides they love using counter-unmanned aerial vehicles and scramblers. If that wave of disruption hits your lobby, Vigilance turns into your best friend by making you completely immune to those effects. But outside of those moments, it usually ends up sitting at the bottom of the list of priorities. A solid perk overall, just not a must-pick in most matches. Tracker is one of those Recon Perks in Call of Duty Black Ops 7 that sounds amazing on paper. When it works, it really works. Following glowing footprints straight to an enemy player feels like you suddenly unlocked your inner action hero. And in lobbies where nobody is running a counter, you can pick people off with almost unfair ease. It is fun, it is satisfying, and it absolutely creates some highlight-worthy moments. But here is the problem. Everyone knows this. And because everyone knows this, almost everyone ends up using Cold-Blooded. The moment even half the lobby equips that one counter perk, Tracker becomes dramatically less effective. Suddenly, the bright trail of breadcrumbs you were relying on just disappears, and you are left wandering around like you dropped your map somewhere. It is not a great feeling. And that brings us to the real issue with Tracker. It competes for the exact same Tier 3 slot as Cold-Blooded. Cold-Blooded simply provides too much value, countering everything from detection equipment to thermal sights, and yes, even Tracker itself. When the alternative is a perk that saves you from constant frustration, it is hard to justify choosing Tracker instead. It can be powerful in the right match, but for most players in most situations, it ends up being a risky pick that just does not pay off consistently. Blastlink is one of those Tier 2 Recon Perks in Call of Duty Black Ops 7 that lands right in the middle of the pack. It is not flashy, it is not game-breaking, but it quietly pulls its weight. The perk marks enemy players on your minimap whenever they take explosive damage, whether that comes from your lethal grenades, tactical grenades, or even launchers. If you like making things go boom, this perk is definitely speaking your language. What actually makes Blastlink more interesting than something like Vigilance is the team-wide value it brings. Your teammates can also trigger the marking effect simply by landing explosive damage, and all of that information funnels straight back to you. On top of the extra map awareness, you earn passive score just by letting your squad do their thing. It almost feels like getting rewarded for sitting back, staying alert, and letting chaos happen around you. And if you really want to squeeze value out of this perk, pair it with a cluster grenade. That combination basically turns into a miniature unmanned aerial vehicle whenever you use it smartly. It will not carry every match, and it is not the strongest Recon perk available, but in the right mode and with a bit of planning, Blastlink can absolutely shine. Engineer is easily the standout Tier 2 Recon perk in Call of Duty Black Ops 7, and honestly, it is not even a close competition. Being able to see enemy equipment and score streaks through walls changes the way you move around the map. On top of that, you stop triggering enemy traps and mines, which feels like removing an entire layer of frustration from your matches. If you are building a true recon-focused loadout, this perk fits that identity perfectly. Where Engineer really starts to shine is when you combine it with perks like Ninja, Cold-Blooded, and Ghost through the perk Greed wildcard. That setup essentially turns you into a ghost on the battlefield. Score streaks cannot track you, equipment cannot catch you, and players relying on sound cues will have no idea where you went. You become that player who slips behind enemy lines and nobody notices until it is too late. Compared to Vigilance and Blast Link, Engineer is on a completely different level. It delivers consistent value in every match, works in every mode, and gives you information that directly translates into smarter plays and easier kills. If you are looking for the best Tier 2 Recon perk in the entire game, you have already found it. Cold-Blooded easily takes the spotlight when we start talking about the top Tier 3 Recon perks in Call of Duty Black Ops 7. We have mentioned it before, but it truly deserves its own moment. This perk makes you completely undetectable by thermal optics, artificial intelligence-controlled targeting score streaks, enemy equipment, and even certain perks. And in a game where it feels like everything on the map is trying to reveal your position, Cold-Blooded becomes that one reliable shield you never want to unequip. The beauty of Cold-Blooded is how well it fits into any stealth-focused playstyle. If you enjoy slipping past enemies, flanking without being seen, or simply avoiding the constant bombardment from automated score streaks, this perk becomes essential. Even for players who are not necessarily stealth-oriented, it removes so much of the annoyance caused by tracking equipment that it ends up improving your experience by default. It is the kind of perk that quietly saves your life over and over again. Because of all this, Cold-Blooded rises to the top as not only one of the best Tier 3 perks overall, but absolutely the strongest Recon perk in its category. It brings consistent value in every single match and works with almost every loadout. If you want a perk that keeps you safe, keeps you hidden, and keeps you from losing your mind when the enemy team spams detection tools, Cold-Blooded is the obvious choice. Ghost is the go-to perk for anyone who is tired of being constantly pinged on the enemy radar in Call of Duty Black Ops 7. As long as you are on the move or actively playing the objective, Ghost keeps you completely hidden from unmanned aerial vehicles, scout pulses, and proximity alarms. It is the perfect solution for players who want to stay unpredictable, slip past enemies, and avoid the non-stop alerts that usually give away your position. If you have played even a single multiplayer match, you have probably noticed how often enemy players call in unmanned aerial vehicles. It is one of the cheapest and easiest score streaks to earn, which means it is practically raining radar sweeps every match. Unless you have a teammate who is dedicated to shooting those score streaks down, Ghost becomes your lifeline. It keeps you from getting tracked, hunted, and ambushed every time the enemy team gets a small streak going. The only real drawback to Ghost is not about how it performs, it is fantastic, but the fact that it shares the Tier 1 Recon slot with the best perk in the entire game. That makes the choice a little more complicated. Still, if you value staying off the radar and maintaining control of your engagements, Ghost remains one of the strongest and most reliable Recon perks you can equip. Ninja is one of those perks in Call of Duty Black Ops 7 that completely changes how you play the game. In fact, many players argue it is the single best perk in the entire title, regardless of category or tier. As a Tier 1 Recon perk, Ninja makes every bit of your movement completely silent. You can sprint, slide, jump, flank, and reposition without giving off a single audio cue, which makes it incredibly hard for enemies to predict your push or react to your presence. When you pair Ninja with Ghost using the perk Greed wildcard, things get borderline unfair. You are invisible on the minimap, impossible to track with sound, and able to slip behind enemy lines over and over again without them ever hearing you coming. This combination turns you into that relentless player who constantly appears behind enemy positions, shuts down campers, and breaks open objectives with clean, silent pressure. And the truth is, with how popular high-quality headsets have become, Sound is everything in multiplayer. Almost every player is listening for footsteps at maximum volume, which makes Ninja feel essential for staying competitive. It removes one of the biggest ways opponents try to read your movements, letting you play faster, smarter, and far more unpredictable. That is why Ninja sits at the very top of the list. It is simply the best of the best. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.